Well, folks, there we have it. The Conservative Party has lost North Shropshire for the first time in 200 years. Its newly elected Liberal Democrat MP told the Prime Minister, Boris, the party is over. It's yet another by-election loss, a frankly embarrassing defeat in the true blue constituency, with the Liberal Democrats overturning a 23,000 Tory majority to secure a whopping 34% swing. Those sort of swings are unprecedented. The Tories have actually, you have to go back at 34.1%, you have to go back to 1993. Professor Sir John Curtis tells us to see such a swing to the Liberal Democrats. That's the second highest by-election swing ever. 1993, the first one, the top spot is a 35.4% brush off against John Major in Christchurch. And look, I think I can see why actually a true blue constituency like North Shropshire would reject Boris Johnson's party at this current time. And I say that as someone, a lot of people are getting upset who are fans of the Prime Minister, saying, Darren, stop criticising him because Sir Keir Starmer is much worse. I don't doubt that for a second. But I want Boris to do well, right? This is why I'm saying this. I campaigned heart and soul for Boris Johnson in 2019. I was in news studios advocating that we all get out there and vote for him. I was knocking on doors. I was delivering leaflets. I believed massively in Project Boris. So I want him to get back to being, apart from building back better, I'd like to build back Boris, frankly. I think he's let we're all down lately and shown himself to be, it has to be said, profoundly illiberal, right? He reaches for the levers of state at any given opportunity because he's lazy and he's unprincipled. And he needs to change that. Reaching for the levers of state instead of actually dealing with problems is what cowardly politicians do, right? That's the coward's way out. It's not, for example, what someone driven by principle and ideology like Margaret Thatcher would have done. We're seeing that at every twist and turn. This is a Prime Minister that makes promises and then rolls back on those promises. On vaccine passports, we were told they wouldn't happen. They then, of course, did. We're seeing on COVID, on that very point, that despite evidence from South Africa showing us that the Omicron variant is a mild one, albeit highly transmissible, that we've entered a de facto lockdown. Christmas parties are being cancelled. The NHS is saying it can't cope, and the hospitality industry is asking for help. There are even whispers of being events where we're seeing school closures in January. And honestly, that for me would be unforgivable, given the levels of abuse and all of the rest of it that we've had very prominently displayed in the news cycle lately against children. Amazon's Alexa, right? Get this. Amazon's Alexa knew about vaccine passports coming into law before Tory MPs had even voted for it. I find that quite chilling, right? Artificial intelligence knows how parliamentarians are going to vote. And fundamentally, I just feel utterly disillusioned. Now, you might argue that actually there's an element of naivety perhaps there. Some people will say, well, Darren, what did you expect? Boris Johnson, the journalist, has frankly been untrustworthy throughout his career. But I think there have been a list of things over a short period of time. The botched job on trying to overhaul the standards rules for Owen Paterson, which has now massively backfired. The redecoration of the Downing Street flat and how that was paid for. Don't get us wrong, right? I'm delighted that we've seen Brexit delivered and parts of this patch here in County Durham have gone blue. I'll never forget it, right? I cried on that night. It was amazing. And a lot of these things have been brought about thanks to Boris Johnson. But what I feel like at the moment, folks, the only way I can really describe it or think of describing it is a bit like if you imagine one of those space films, a film in space, in which a door is accidentally opened in a rocket or a spaceship, and a poor astronaut or whoever else is sucked into space like a vacuum into the ether. That's how I feel like I can visualise Boris Johnson's authority and power being sucked through the body of the Conservative Party. And I think it's at the point now where Boris Johnson really could be out of office by the next election. He might not be Prime Minister fighting the next election. He can still turn it around though, right? You know, he's done it before. And I think the team around him, frankly, is one of the most, this is a problem perhaps, one of the most out of touch, decadent and frankly not fit for levelling up that Boris Johnson has been tasked with. Because they just don't get it, folks. They don't understand. They care more about Boris moonlighting as the leader of the Sodden Green Party than they do in genuinely levelling up in areas, communities like this one. I think Boris needs to get a grip. I repeat that. Get a sodden grip. And fast, frankly, because the rebellion that we saw in the vaccine passports vote that he's experienced recently was on, let's be frank, Theresa May levels. It was Theresa May proportions, that rebellion. And you saw what happened to her authority. The by-elections with massive swings to the Liberal Democrats won't be few and far between. They'll be thick and fast. These things won't just be the one-offs that we see in the media at by-elections. I think you'll start to see the unpicking of the coalition that the Prime Minister so brilliantly managed to create in 2019. So I say, come on, Prime Minister, remember your pledges, remember your promises, those lofty aims that you set out upon entering Downing Street. You can still bring it back together again. I want you to bring it back together again. Come on, let's get back together again and deliver, actually, for the millions of people that voted for you the very first time.